Okay, hi and welcome to the website basics webinar. For those who haven't heard before, my name's Matt Wilkinson. I'm the CEO of Bizink, and this is the first webinar of the Marketing Quick Starter series, which is being presented by MYOB and Bizink. And what we're trying to do in this series is, as the name might suggest, give you a quick start in everything to do with in websites and online marketing. And the first part of the series, we're going to focus on the website because even though there have been lots of new developments in online marketing over the last few years, the website really is still the center of your online activity and a really important part of that. So what we're going to do today is cover the most important features and content of a good accounting or bookkeeping website. Um, Before we get started, just a few little things about me. So yeah, I'm the founder and CEO of Bizink. I've been working in online business for over 15 years now. So kind of been around the block with it, and seen a lot of those developments over that time. Since 2010, I've worked exclusively with accountants and bookkeepers. We work with firms in Australia and New Zealand, US, Canada, UK. I've worked with, hundreds of accounting firms, bookkeeping firms over that time. And that's why we were chosen by MYOB as a preferred website supplier, just because we've got that really kind of in-depth domain knowledge of the accounting and bookkeeping profession. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you on in this webinar series is kind of best practices that we've seen over the years. We're going to be looking at why you need a website. We're going to be having a look at the importance of mobile. Then we're going to spend most of the time having a look at the anatomy of a really good accounting or bookkeeping website, and then going to finish up with some useful features and integrations that you can add to give your website a bit of a boost. So the first one, why do you need a website? I'm sort of a bit disappointed we're still kind of having this conversation in 2016, and to be honest, I don't get asked it that much anymore. But when I started to work with accountants and bookkeepers back in 2010, we often got asked this. We say like, we get all our business from referrals. Why do we need a website? Well, actually, the primary reason you need a website is actually to seal the deal with referrals, and by that, what I mean by that is, if somebody gets referred to you, even if it's by somebody that they really trust, the first thing that they're going to do is throw your name into Google and check out your website. And if it doesn't, if it's not up to scratch, or even worse, you haven't got a website, then you risk losing them as a client. And that actually, a real world example of that, a firm that became a Bizink client last year, they came to us and said, like, we've not had a website, we've never thought we needed one, but we nearly lost a big client because of one. And somebody had been referred to them. He'd gone and checked them out. They had no website. This was a young guy, tech savvy. I think he had a tech business. And even though the person who'd referred him was really trusted, he's like, these guys haven't got a website. I'm not going to work with them. But he just thought, I best give them a call. And he rang up and they got on really well, and they ended up, working together. So this guy, he as a client is worth $70,000 a year to them, and they nearly lost them because they didn't have a website. So, obviously the first thing they did, gave us a call, and we sorted them out. But that just showed the importance of that in the referral process. Second thing is search engines. Google now processes 40,000 searches every second, 3.5 billion per day, and quite a few of those are people searching for accountants, searching for bookkeepers. And if you don't have a website, you don't exist. So, those two reasons alone make a website pretty much, it's essential. There's also a factor there where for your existing clients, it's good to have a website, so that they can they can find that information, give you a call. I'll show you where a little bit later on, how you can have an area on your site where they can come and log into software, so it could be the MYOB logins on your site. So that's a good reason, again, to have a website. But, in terms of marketing yourself, those first two reasons alone, I think, make it a no-brainer. So if we can assume you've got to have a website, let's look at the things that should be on that website. And the first one is that website needs to be mobile friendly. By that, we mean, do you pass Google's mobile friendly test? So if you go to Google and put in mobile friendly test, you'll find a little simple site. You put your website address in there, and it will run a test. And if you fail that test, it means you will not be listed in Google's mobile search results. So that's a change that happened in April 2015. For non-mobile friendly sites, they don't appear in the search results on mobiles. Now, Google now saying that more than half of their searches are done from mobiles, and we know that especially with younger people, their phone is their primary internet device. They wouldn't have a desktop computer. They might not even have a laptop. So they could be doing pretty much everything on a phone. So it's really important that your site is mobile friendly. It gets listed in those search results, and then when people find that site, that it actually performs well, that it gives a good user experience. So if you fail that test, well, what do you need to do? You need to get mobile, but what does that mean? Well, the first thing you need to do, I think, is look into getting a responsive website. That's the type of mobile friendly site that we would really recommend. What that means is the website adapts to the size of screen it's being viewed on. So it could be an iPhone, it could be an Android phone, it could be like a tablet, or it could be a big widescreen monitor. So responsive isn't just about small screens, about mobile. It's about responding to any type of screen. So it could be like a big plasma screen. A responsive site will adapt in that way. Your alternative would be something like a mobile app or a dedicated mobile site. For a lot of firms, that's overkill, really. In that, with a responsive site, you have one website, one set of content, one place that you've got to update everything. If you have like a dedicated mobile website, that means you've got to update the content in two places. And my experience of working with accountants and bookkeepers, there's never enough time to do marketing. So that duplication of effort is a pretty bad idea. So if you're going to get a responsive website, I would suggest that don't try and retrofit that onto your existing site. It's probably going to be more expensive and a pretty bad result. Much better to redesign your site at that point. It's probably going to be cheaper, and why not freshen up at the same time? So we need a mobile site. We need to assume that's an absolute must these days. What I'm going to move on to in just a second is the anatomy of a really good accounting called bookkeeping website. Before I jump into that, I just wanted to quickly explain what we call our marketing framework, because that kind of informs the structure and some of the things that I'm going to talk about today, and some of the future webinars in the series. So when we start working with a client on their marketing, on their online marketing, what we tend to say to them is, look, are you different? Are you credible? Are you authentic? And are you visible? So different, what you do that nobody else does. Credible, can you prove that? Authentic, what's your personality? What's your brand kind of difference? And visible, how do you take all those things and then get in front of people, and kind of promote yourself? So there's a lot more to that, and we'll cover that in some of the other webinars, but I just wanted to bring those up because I think they give a background to what we're going to talk about now in terms of the anatomy of a successful site. And really the key is to keep things really simple. accounting and bookkeeping is a relationships business, and you don't, you can build relationships online, but the best way to do it really is talking to people. And, especially if you're going to have a kind of complex kind of engagement with somebody, you're not going to just do that over a website. So as important as I think websites are, I obviously manage a company that does websites for accountants and bookkeepers. That the key thing is what we're trying to do is actually get people to have a conversation with you quite quickly. So that's about keeping things simple and not getting in the way of that process. So the simple structure I would suggest, give or take, for your site, you're going to need a homepage. That's pretty obvious. An about page, and that's going to have a team page in it and some case studies and testimonials. You're going to want a services page. Probably not that important, actually. I think a lot of firms put a whole bunch of effort into that, where actually you should make that very simple. Probably want some expert content on your website, a blog, and a contact page, and pretty much that's it. So let's have a dive in and go through some of those things in a bit more detail. So the first one is the homepage, and the first thing I'd say here is not to put too much focus on your homepage. While it is your most important page, most of the traffic to your site is probably going to come to other pages. So for example, on the Bizink website, we get 29% of the traffic to the homepage on average. So that means 71% of the traffic obviously is going to other pages because of like search engines or campaigns that we run. So okay, yeah, the homepage is important, but don't put all your effort into that and kind of neglect other pages, because that's where most of your traffic's going to go. And in addition to that, one of the mistakes that we see is people trying to do way too much on the homepage, trying to get every bit of information about their firm on the homepage. It feels forced, it feels overcrowded. Really what you want to do with a homepage is just pull people deeper into the site and build a bit of kind of trust and credibility. So, I think the best way is like, actually, let's have a look at some real sites, and I can discuss some good elements and bad elements. One of the things that you're going to see on most firms' websites is an image on the homepage, and this is an image of the type of image I think I see quite a lot, and is a big mistake. Is this kind of like cheesy stock imagery of business people? They're kind of like multi-age, multi-ethnic group, and that like these guys, they're like laughing at a spreadsheet. It just looks really daft. And if you go back to our framework where we're talking about being different, being credible, being authentic, this is the opposite of all of those things. It's generic, and it's really inauthentic. So I would say try and avoid this kind of stock imagery at all costs on your website. The type of imagery that you should be using, the things I think look really good are real images of you and your clients. What you're trying to do is create a human connection. Go back to that relationships business thing. People buy from people, so they want to see you. They want to see some real people that you work with. You can do things like have some images of your clients and then link through to case studies and testimonials. That can be something that's really effective to give some impact on the homepage. And I think it goes without saying you should get those images professionally taken. That doesn't necessarily going to be cheap, but I think it does pay itself back. You can get that done at the same time as getting some team images taken for your profile page, and we'll see in just a second that that's really important as well. But if you don't have the time or kind of the budget to get that kind of imagery taken, then what can work well is some really good local imagery. What we're trying to do here is create what all marketing is trying to do really is work on an emotional level and something that people can connect to. So if you're a firm that mostly works in the local area, then some good local imagery can be a good less expensive option to feature on your homepage if that resonates with your clients and your prospects. So this is an example of one of our clients' websites, and I think they've done a lot of things here really well. The first thing is they've got a photo of the client here. She's a photographer, so she's obviously holding the camera there. It's an engaging photo. She's looking out at you, the viewer, and she's smiling. It's a warm, kind of engaging picture. You've got this case study on the left here, which is talking about what a great job the firm's done for her. And we've got that local thing here. This is an Auckland firm, so people are going to recognize that skyline right away. So that to me is that's a good image to have on your homepage, and it's linking to that case study and testimonial, which is really important. We'll have a look at those in just a sec. This is from the same site. So they have an image slider, so it slides through, and this is a photo of Brad, who's the principal of that firm. It's another good image, he's smiling and all of that kind of thing. Personally, I'm not a fan of image sliders, so our websites power them. We often recommend firms just to go with one, choose the best image, and go with that, because those kind of rotating images can be a bit off-putting, and there's bit of evidence to show that people just don't look at them. So I think sometimes people want to cram lots of information onto the homepage and think that's a good way to do it. The reality of it is that they don't tend to work that well. So moving on past the homepage, the About Us page, you need to have one on there, but the thing is to keep it nice and short and simple. I mean, people do want to read that, so don't make the mistake that people don't want to read about you and find out about you. They do, but it's good to keep it very short and simple. And the thing about it is, in a sense, it's not about you. It's actually about your clients. You're in business to serve your clients. So your About Us page should be talking about what type of clients you work with, what you do for them, why they choose you. Because people looking at your site they're interested in what's in it for them. They're not necessarily interested in you per se. They're interested in what you can do for them. So make that About Us page really something that's actually about how the great results that you get for your clients. And on that page, don't brag or use hyperbole. People are very sensitive to what I would call marketing language. So if you're saying you're the leading firm or the best, or all these kind of terms, unless you can back that up, it comes across as a little bit hollow, and I would try to avoid that at all costs. So keep the page short and simple, and keep your language, the way you write the page, very simple and kind of factual as well. And we're going to demonstrate, in just a minute, how the best way to say how good you are is through case studies and testimonials. That reflected glory is much better than you kind of bragging about it yourself. So under you kind of that about section on your website, you should really have a team page. We did some research at the start of the year and found that for our clients, the second most visited page on their site for 90% of our clients was the team page, which I thought was really interesting. Actually, it surprised me a little bit. And my theory from that, it's that human connection again. People buy from people, so when they're coming and doing some research on this on your site, they want to know they want to know a little bit about you, and they want to see people react to photos. And it might not just be prospects looking at your site, it could be prospective employees. So you want to give them a good impression as well. It could be someone looking to buy your firm, it could be banks, it could be potential partners. So going back to what we talked about with the homepage, it's really worth getting those professional images taken. Certainly, avoid those kind of grainy kind of mugshots taken next to a filing cabinet. We want these images to sell you in your best light. And it doesn't just have to be photographs. It could be something quirky like this one here, where we've got these are caricatures that were done from a site called Fiverr.com. This is one of our clients in the US, and that they're quite a sort of like young cloud firm, and wanted to just project a bit of a different image. Went to Fiverr.com, which is where you pay $5 to get artwork done for you. So each of these images on the screen only cost them $5, but really cool. They get heaps of good feedback about this site. Whenever we show it to our other clients, they absolutely love it. Might not be for all firms, but it certainly brings across the personality of what they do. So case studies and testimonials, I kind of mentioned them a few times already. Basically, it's just about proving you're as good as you say you are. You can. It's very hard to differentiate in some ways on service, and that's where kind of like a bit of a pitfall for a lot of accounting bookkeeping websites that we see is that they try and say, yeah, we're different than the average accountant. We've got our clients love working with us. All these things you can't you can write them, but they don't really have any impact unless you can prove them, because everyone says the same stuff, right? So with a case study or a testimonial, you can do that. You can prove that you've got clients who absolutely love working with you, that you've got great results for them. And the best way to do that is to show, tangible benefits, not just nice words. You don't want them to just say, Matt's a great guy and we like working with him. If you can say, we worked with Matt, and since we got a website with him, then, we get 4 more leads a month, and 2 of those become clients, and that's worth, whatever, 10 grand a year more to us. So the more you can quantify that benefit, then the more powerful that case study or testimonial is going to be. That they can just be written things, but I think images and video can add to the experience. I mean, again, it's a question of time and budget, but the richer you can make those things, I think the more powerful they can be. And almost, if you can do these really well, it pretty much does all your marketing for you, because if you've got a whole bunch of people saying how awesome you are, and in a very clear and quantifiable way, that's incredibly powerful. Way more powerful than any other kind of clever marketing that you might do, or kind of catchphrase or whatever. Real people talking about what you've done for them is the most powerful thing. And you only got to look at websites like TripAdvisor or Airbnb or Uber, all these kind of new businesses, eBay, TradeMe. They're built on the back of user feedback. It's kind of how the internet works. So really important to try and get some of that stuff on your own website. So the services page, or as it is on some, particularly accounting firms, seem to have way too many services pages, and nobody reads them. That's the thing, is that most businesses who might be coming to work with you, they don't really know what they want, or certainly what they need. So what we say is, keep it simple, stupid, because people aren't going to come and wade through these pages of technical information about stuff you can do for them. Certainly, using jargon in any type of marketing is always a mistake, and that's certainly something that we see on a lot of firms' websites, is this kind of jargon-heavy copy that does very little to sell what the firm does. So, I'd say go back to marketing 101. You're selling on benefits, not features. Writing about what you're actually going to do for somebody, that they don't really care about that. They just want to know about the benefits, and that can either be something that you can quantify in that services page. I would actually say that's best done, like we were just talking about, with the case studies and the testimonials. So in reality, I would say probably just have one services page that's very, very brief. Some of the best firms that we work with just do that, have one very simple page. They might have 2 pages, one for personal clients, one for business clients, if that's something that they do, but they keep it really, really simple. Where you might want to add some depth to your website is by having some what I would call expert content on there. And we'll cover this in a lot more depth in next week's session on content marketing, and some of the other sessions will expand on that. But by expert content, it's stuff that basically you're proving your skills and expertise. So, if you're an expert in, let's say, accounting for hospitality businesses, that's a firm we were talking to recently, then you're going to want to put a bunch of content about that, because if you're going after that type of business, then you've got to demonstrate that you're an expert in that field. So get some content on your website, and that might be in the form of blog posts. We'll talk about that in just a second. It could be an ebook, it could be videos, lots of different things you could do there. But having some content that shows your specific different skills can be really useful on a website. Not just on a website, you can share that then through things like social media and push it out through your email newsletter. But your website's a good place for that to sit. And what the principle here, it's that modern marketing aspect of giving something away to get something back. Like I say, we'll cover that a lot more in the session next week on content marketing. But if you everything you see on the internet now, it's about content. Download this ebook, free guide to online marketing, or giving away something valuable in order to pull people towards you and get them engaged with you. And that's something that we obviously, as a company, we help accountants and bookkeepers do that. So if you're struggling to get that kind of expert content on your site, there are people who you can outsource that to, either kind of a specialist company like Bizink, or you would find that freelance writers can help you out there, and probably a lot less expensive than you might think. I would say that having a blog on your site is pretty important. The first reason for that is you can keep your site looking fresh. We talked about your site sealing the deal with referrals, and one part of that is a site that looks fresh and up to date. I think that's important. I mean, when someone visits your site for the first time, it's not generally going to be one thing that convinces them that you're great, but lots of little things, and them coming on and going, this guy's writing about the problems that I've got, and yeah, he's updating his blog, on a weekly basis. They're all kind of little, little ticks in terms of somebody, building that trust and credibility with you. It's also a chance to show your personality, right? Because like we just talked about the services page, if you're talking about tax returns, if you're talking about, management accounts, or just, bookkeeping services, they're things that all your competitors do as well. So it's very hard to differentiate on those. It's very hard to say you do it in a different way. Even if you do, people don't perceive that difference. So having a blog on your site can actually bring a bit of personality onto the website, have a bit of opinion in there, and that can help you stand out a little bit as well. And it can also focus your efforts. I think if you try and do a little bit of everything, that can become quite distracting, and we see a lot of firms then they kind of fall off and stop doing online marketing at all. Whereas the firms that we've seen who've kind of almost like started from zero, we've had, we've said to them, just try and blog, try and get something out every week, whether it's content we give them or help them with, or content they create themselves. If you can maintain your blog actively, then you can then push that out to social media, repost that onto Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, perhaps. You can use that content in your email newsletter, but you're keeping your focus on that blog. So it's a nice way to just focus your efforts and get some good content out that you can then repurpose, redistribute through those other channels. So the final thing is the contact page. You obviously need people to contact you, and you actually, I mean, obviously you want to make it easy, multiple ways for people to get in touch. You actually don't want to just rely on your contact page. You need those contact details to be all over your website. You need them in, you want some way of people to contact you in the header of the website, probably your phone number in the top right, maybe a book a consultation button there, and certainly more of your details in the footer. But on the contact page, certainly you're going to want your phone number, you're going to want an email address. I would suggest you have a contact form as well. That makes it easier for people who are on mobile devices to send you a message. Fax, I mean, I don't know. I haven't sent a fax in years. I'm sure some people still use them, so there's no harm in putting that on there. And you're also going to want a map, a Google map on your site. So it's quite easy to embed a Google map on your site. That's good because it helps people obviously find you. The other reason why it's good is that it hooks up with your Google map listing in the Google search results. So you need to have one of those as well, which is a separate topic. We can maybe answer a question on that afterwards, but you want to be listed in Google Business so that your website your business is there, and you want to use that map on your website as well, because that tells Google that you're the same business, and that helps perhaps move you up the search results as well. And like I mentioned, you want the contact details on every page of your site. So, not just relying on that contact page to do the job. People are super lazy when it comes to that online behavior. And if they can't find something straight away, they'll just go somewhere else. So, if they're searching through your site to try and get in touch with you, then potentially they've got, all your competitors open in different tabs on the browser, and they're just going to go somewhere else. So make it super easy for people to get in touch. So that kind of concludes the anatomy part of the webinar. I just want to say that's a really basic structure, which you might tweak a little bit, but I don't think you want to tweak it much past that, because what we're trying to do here is start, you want to get conversations happening. So in a way, you want the website to just enable that to happen, but then get out of the way. You don't want a whole bunch of content and fussy, kind of overcrowded web pages to be in the way of that. You want somebody to be able to come in, see why you're a firm that they'd like to work with, and then get in touch with you, because you're going to need to have that more in-depth conversation with them before you onboard them as a client. So what I wanted to have a look at next was, say you've got that website, it's mobile friendly, you've got that structure that's proven to work. What are some other little apps, some features, integrations that you can put on there that give you a bit of a boost? The first one that I'd really recommend that you have a look at is appointment booking apps. So these are kind of like scheduling tools that integrate with your calendar, and so people can just from your website they can see this one on screen here, can book a different type of appointment, and that's just booked into your calendar. So the type of ones that type of apps you might want to use, there's Timely is a good one, Acuity, that's one that we use here at Bizink. Calendly is another good one, and vCita is one that we've seen quite a few of our clients using. So one of the fears that we have when we're talking to firms about this is they think that they're going to get the whole calendar kind of booked out with appointments and they have no control over it. You don't have to open your whole calendar up. You can just open up sort of like certain slots, and that means that you can completely control that. When we installed one of these on our website, which is about 18 months ago, we were amazed by the benefits. We got about a third uplift in demos. So, like a third more demos were being booked on the site every month. That was just for putting it on there. And I think that's because it gives a really slick experience for your clients, for prospects rather, or people trying to book a meeting with you, rather than them having to sort of email you, ask for a meeting, back and forth. It's a lot of effort on their part. They can just come in, couple of clicks, they're booked, and that's all good. So it's a good experience. And if that's the first experience somebody has with your firm, I think that's really positive. The added benefit that we'd not really thought about was that we do still save about 10 minutes of admin every single appointment that's booked. Because, going back to that thing of emails back and forth, and you've got to schedule it in calendars, and then, you're trying to coordinate the time with the person. You might even lose some bookings that way. Instead, we would it takes no time. It's all booked automatically with the system we use, Acuity. It even books the online meeting that we use. So we're saving 10 minutes, and in some months we might have 40, 50 demos in a month. That's a massive time saving. So we were really surprised by that kind of productivity gain as well. So I'd highly recommend you check some of those out, and we'll include links to these in the follow-up email after the webinar. Another one which might not be for every firm, but I think can be really good, is live chat. So obviously this is where people can start chatting to you on the website, like text chat. I really like them personally if I'm dealing with a new supplier, because it's quite anonymous. I don't have to call them and sort of go into like a sales cycle. I can just ask a very specific question. They can be really good for support as well. If you've got a support query, or one of your clients did, they can be working away and just chatting. And, it's really annoying when you get left hanging on a phone. But if I've got live chat going, it's fine. You just carry on doing your work, and the live chat's just popping up. So there can be something that I've seen it work really, really well with some firms, and especially if you have a front desk person, receptionist, then they're already operating like the phones, checking emails. Then why not have something like this as well? It just gives another option for people to get in touch with you. So some good options. Zopim is the one that we use, which is owned by Zendesk. Olark is another good one, and Intercom is not one that we've used, but it's got a really good reputation. And they all integrate with any common website platform. You'll find no issue getting those installed on your site. Something that really is incredibly important on your website is a way of capturing data, and this is something that we will cover in at least 2 of the other webinars. Is that with accounting and bookkeeping websites, the conversion rate is really low. So, for example, Amazon.com probably got one of the highest conversion rates in the world, 12 or 15%. But that still means 85% of people don't buy when they visit. For accounting bookkeeping firms, it's much, much lower, like 1% or less probably of people will just visit your site and give you a call. And that's because what you are, what you're doing is complex. It's not just a really simple sell, like an impulse buy, like it might be on Amazon. So most people visiting your site are in that research phase rather than kind of in that buying phase. But the problem is that although people are interested, they don't often come back. The stats show that. We've run various bits of research. So people visit, they're interested, they go away, they don't come back. So the way to solve that is to try and capture some data from them. Like we've got on screen here, like a data capture form. So, if our kind of like normal conversion rate is like 1%, it's definitely possible to get maybe even like 10% of people giving you their details. Really, their email address is the most important thing, because then you can continue to keep a conversation going with them, and then when they become ready to buy, then we're ready to engage you rather, then you're going to be top of mind. So we'll talk about ways to really encourage people to give you their email addresses in the next webinar and in the final webinar about leads. And really the key to it is giving away something valuable. So like here, we've got this learn MYOB course. Give away something valuable like that. People sign up for it, you deliver the course to them, and keep talking to them. And that's how the most successful firms get way more leads coming from their websites. But all I wanted to do today was say, what powers this kind of thing is an integration with some email marketing software. So what you want to do is capture those details, push them into the email marketing software, and then you can continue that conversation. And in terms of email marketing apps, MailChimp is a really popular option. Lots of firms we work with use MailChimp. They have a free package, which I think is up to 2,000 subscribers. Which is free is good, hey. Constant Contact is another good one, and we've got some email marketing software as well, which obviously I'm a little bit biased, but we think it's pretty good. Final thing I wanted to show you is the client area. So what I would say is just have somewhere on your website that gives clients a reason to come back regularly. Some of that could be your blog and your email newsletter, pulling people back there. But like we've got on screen here, this is like off a site that we're building for a MYOB partner. You've got those logins to the software, the login to the MYOB portal. Make your site the destination for people's kind of accounting, bookkeeping, logins, stuff that they do like that, and it's a reason to keep them coming back to the website, and then they can engage with you in different ways. That's a real simple thing that you can add to your site. So to wrap things up, first of all, look, you need a website. I'm not even going to debate that one anymore. You've just got to have a website. It's 2016, so you need one. And that website must be mobile friendly. Over half of searches that are done in Google are on mobile devices. And if your site isn't mobile friendly, then you're just not going to appear in those results. We talk about our marketing framework. You want to be different, credible, authentic, and visible. So, how do you stand out? How do you prove it? What's your personality? And the visible part, like we'll talk about that in the other sessions. Really, is like get that get your site sorted, and then how do we get that site seen? And we'll be talking about that in the other sessions of Marketing Quick Starter. And hopefully you can see, simple sites work best. You want in conversations with people. You're not going to just have people like in an e-commerce way signing up off your site. I'll put my cards on the table. I'm not a massive fan of the kind of having packages on your website, because I think that commoditizes what you do. And I think the value conversation that you can have is really important. Discovering what a client's needs might be. They probably don't know, and that's what your value as a professional really comes in. So I think get them off your website and talking to you, and I think putting things like a package or whatever can hinder that. So I think a simple site that just basically encourages people to engage with you, to get in touch, that's what works. That's what works really well. And you can give that a little bit of a boost as well with things like the appointment scheduling apps. Like I said with Bizink, that gave us a third more demos just from adding that to the site. So to me, like, why wouldn't you do that? Those kind of apps like live chat as well, the email marketing integrations, they can help with your engagement, your efficiency. We save, like I say, 10 minutes for every demo we get booked by having that app in there. and also your stickiness, kind of things like the client area. If you've got clients coming back and visiting your site and getting that little bit of value each time, then that increases that stickiness, and that's all important. So hopefully that's been valuable, and that gives us a good baseline for the rest of the 5 webinars that we're going to be running as part of Marketing Quick Starter. The next one is next week, and we're going to be covering content marketing, which is quite an ambiguous term. So we're going to look at now, what is content marketing? Then we're going to take a look at the type of content you should create, where you should publish that content, curating and sharing content from other people, and finally getting external help. If you don't have the time or the skills or whatever to do that, then you'd probably be surprised at the kind of options that are out there that are quite inexpensive. So that's at the same time next week, and I look forward to seeing you there. I'm going to stick around now if you've got any questions. So just before we do the questions, give you a little bit of background to Bizink. So we build accountants and bookkeepers' websites. We help them with their online marketing, and we've recently struck this partnership with MYOB, where we're a preferred website supplier. So that's really great that we're working with MYOB, and what we're going to be delivering to MYOB partners is special pricing, exclusive content, some features in there as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing, and look, what we're trying to do is make it really easy for you to have a winning website. We know you don't have a lot of time to do online marketing, so we really kind of take that burden away and make that super easy for you. So if you want to find out more, bizinkonline.com/MYOB, and we'll send out that information in the follow-up email.